The girl from Sector 5, the crime was clean. No broken doors, no alarms, no signs of struggle. But something terrible was missing from the government lab. A sealed weapon pod last seen 3 nights ago. Inside that pod was something dangerous, something that could not be tracked by normal scanners. Detective Duran stood in the middle of the crime scene. He was tall, tired, and didn't like mysteries. But this one was worse than most. The cameras had been wiped. The guards remembered nothing, and the security logs were empty. Someone did this from the inside, Duran said, rubbing the back of his neck. But there was no proof, no witness, no way forward, until a voice behind him said, "You need a nose, not a badge." Duran turned. An old traitor leaned against the wall, eyes sharp, arms crossed. "What did you say?" The man smiled. "I said you need a nose, a real one." "What kind of joke is that?" "Not a joke," the man said. "There's a girl in Sector 5, not human, Valeri breed. They don't see the world like us. They smell it." Duran raised an eyebrow. "And why should I trust a street story?" "Because, Matit," the man whispered. "She found my stolen ship 3 years ago by smelling fear on the thief." Sector 5 was the kind of place where daylight got lost. Narrow streets, broken lights, wet metal floors. The air was thick with oil, smoke, and bad luck. Duran walked through the market slowly, hand near his sidearm. Eyes followed him. No one smiled. But he had one name. Scylla, he asked 2 vendors. Then a thief. Finally, a silent child pointed to a staircase behind a burnt-out junk tower. Duran climbed carefully. At the top he found a small door. He knocked once. No answer. He knocked again. The door opened halfway. A pair of golden eyes looked at him. Not angry, not scared, just curious. "You're Scylla?" he asked. The girl nodded slowly. She was young, maybe 20. Long dark hair, thin arms, gray alien skin with soft blue marks under her eyes. "I need your help," Duran said. "Your jacket smells." "Like lies," she replied. He blinked. "What? You say you want help, but you don't believe I can help you." Duran smiled slightly. "You're not wrong." She stepped back and opened the door. "Come in anyway." Inside her room were small bottles filled with strange glowing liquids. The air was heavy and was sharp, sweet, spicy, bitter. Too many smells mixing in one place. Duran felt dizzy for a second. "You work here?" "I live here," she said. "But smells are my work." She sat down and waited. Duran took a photo from his coat and placed it on the table. The missing weapon pod. It vanished 3 nights ago. No signs, no clues. The people inside the lab say they don't remember anything. Scylla stared at the photo, then closed her eyes. "You want me to come with you?" she said. "Yes, I'll need 5 things." "What things?" "Air mask, payment, access pass, times, and silence." "Silence? You don't speak unless I ask something. Your voice gets in the way of smells." Duran smirked. "You're a strange assistant." Scylla stood and walked to the door. "I'm not your assistant. I'm your nose." They reached the lab late at night. The room was cold, untouched since the theft. A red circle marked where the weapon pod had been. Scylla didn't speak. She just walked. Slow, focused, eyes half closed, her head tilted in different direction, like she was chasing something no one else could see. After 10 minutes, she crouched down near the power port. She sniffed the floor once, then twice. Then her eyes snapped open. "This wasn't theft," she said. Duran leaned forward. "What do you mean?" "This wasn't forced. It was opened. Someone inside gave access." "You're saying an inside job?" Scylla nodded. "But more than that." She stood and walked to the door. The person who did this didn't smell like fear. They smelled like control. Duran frowned. Who would steal a weapon like that and not be afraid? Scylla looked him in the eye, someone powerful. As they walked out of the lab, Duran felt cold. He had trusted scanners and fax all his life. But this girl, this quiet alien from the streets, had found more in one sniff than his entire team in 3 days, and for the first time in a long time, he was nervous. "What now?" he asked. Scylla didn't answer at first, then she whispered, "Now we follow the scent of lies." Memories in the air, Scylla walked ahead of Duran, her steps light, her head tilted like she was listening to something no one else could hear. But she wasn't listening. She was smelling. And every breath told her more than 1,000 security reports ever could. They returned to the lab the next morning. This time Scylla wore a soft gray scarf around her nose, not to hide her gift, but to filter it. Too many smells too fast could make her collapse. Duran watched as she moved slowly from wall to wall. "You smell anything new?" he asked. "You spoke again," she said calmly, not turning. "Sorry." She crouched down near a corner where the floor met the wall. "Right here," she whispered. "What is it?" "Someone stood here. Their scent is recent. Too recent." Duran checked the logs. "No one's been here since yesterday." Someone lied. Scylla reached into a small pouch and pulled out a tiny silver ball. She pressed it to the floor and activated it. It lit up, revealing heat marks. 3 different sets of footprints. One matched a guard. The other 2 weren't registered in the lab's entry log. One was large, the other, barely the size of Scylla's own feet. "Someone brought a child?" Duran asked, confused. Scylla shook her head. "Not a child. Someone small. And fast." Then she sniffed the air again. Her eyes narrowed. Fear. They were scared. Not of getting caught. Scared of something they saw. Back at the station, Duran tried to dig into the personnel files. One name stood out. Commander Hale, one of the top officers who had access to the lab. "He was the first to report the missing pod," Duran said. "What did he smell like?" Scylla asked softly. Duran blinked. "How would I know? I mean, what did he say when he spoke? Did he pause? Breathe fast? That tells me how fear moved in him," Duran thought. He didn't look scared, just annoyed, like it was a job. Scylla stood still. "Then he's hiding something." They visited Commander Hale's office. He wasn't there. The lights were off. Duran checked the door log. "Last opened 10 hours ago." "He didn't come to work today," he muttered. Scylla walked into the room and paused, her eyes closed, her hands dropped to her sides. "Don't move," she whispered. "What is it?" "The smell here is broken," Duran frowned. "Broken how?" "Memories are leaking." She stepped toward the chair, sniffed once. He sat here, but he was sweating. Nervous? No. Shaking, like he knew something terrible. Then she moved to the wall. A vent was half open. She sniffed again and whispered, "This is where he hid it." Duran looked. Inside, nothing there now. "He hid the stolen pod here?" he asked. "No," Scylla said. "Something else." "What?" She turned around slowly. A memory bottle. In the black market there were illegal tools, ways to pull memories from people and trap them in liquid form. The liquid carried not just images but emotions. Fear, guilt, rage, joy. Smugglers sold them to spies, assassins, even lovers. "He bottled a memory," Scylla said. "His own. To forget something." Duran stared at her. Why would someone erase their own memory? Maybe he saw something he couldn't live with. They followed the trail to a memory market hidden under the lower decks of the trade tower. The air there was thick, sweet, rotten, strange. Dozens of memory bottles glowed on dark shelves. Each one was labeled with a symbol, not a name. Scylla moved through them like a ghost, her head turned from side to side. "This one," she whispered, reaching for a black bottle. Duran held up a scanner. "No ID. It's locked." "But I can smell it," she said. She uncorked it gently. The air twisted. Scylla's body shook as the scent hit her. Her eyes rolled back for a moment, then focused. "It's Commander Hale's memory," she said. "He was there when the pod was taken. He didn't stop it. Joranne leaned in. Did he steal it? No, she said. But he helped. Why? She looked down. Because he was protecting someone. Who? Scylla closed the bottle and stepped back. I don't know yet, but there's something worse. What? She turned to Joranne. This scent. It matches my own. Joranne's eyes widened. You were there? Not during the theft, she said. Before. You're saying I was used, Scylla whispered. Someone made me smell that room before. Someone erased that from me. Joranne stepped back, his voice low. You think you were part of the plan? No, she said, shaking her head. I was part of the test. Scent of the forgotten. Scylla didn't speak for a long time. They sat in the corner of an old lift, moving slowly between the lower levels of the station. Above them, blinking lights. Below them, silence. Joranne kept watching her. She looked calm on the outside, but her hands trembled in her lap. You okay? He asked gently. No, she whispered. He leaned closer. Talk to me. That memory. In the bottle, she said. It wasn't just Commander Hale's. Part of it was mine. Joranne frowned. How's that possible? I smelled the air, and it pulled something out of me. Something old. Something that was hidden. What did you see? Scylla looked up slowly. I saw myself inside the lab. Years ago, I was smaller, scared. Someone in a dark coat was speaking to me. I smelled fear. Not mine, theirs. Fear from the one in control? Joranne asked. She nodded. They were afraid of what I could become. They arrived at Scylla's room in Sector 5. The door creaked open, and the scent of burnt wires hit their noses. Joranne stepped in first, gun drawn. The room was a mess. Someone had broken in, bottles smashed, notes scattered, and on the wall, written in black dust. We remember. You. Scylla's face went pale. Whoever did this, she said softly, wasn't just looking for something. Then what? They were sending a message. To me. Joranne helped clean up what he could. He placed a small lock on her door and set up a motion alarm. Scylla didn't argue. She just sat on the floor staring at a broken bottle. This scent, she said, was from my first memory. Your first? She nodded. The first time I was ever asked to track someone, I was 5. They told me to find a man hiding in the desert. They said it was a game, but the man begged me not to speak. Joranne sat beside her. What happened? I found him. I told them. They took him away. I never saw him again. Later that night, while Joranne was fixing her storage unit, Scylla's head suddenly turned. She stood up quickly. Someone's watching. Joranne froze. Where? Not close, but near. Above us. He followed her to the rooftop. From there, she turned slowly, a nose in the air, scanning the wind like a machine. Then her voice dropped to a whisper. Valerie. Joranne's grip on his gun tightened. Another one like you? She nodded. Older, male, and he knows me. How? She didn't answer. Instead, she whispered, He's gone. They checked the camera near the stairwell. A blurry figure, tall, thin, hooded, had passed near the door and left within seconds. Too fast, too smooth. Not normal. You're telling me there's another Valerie running around watching you? Joranne asked. Yes, Scylla said. And if he's here, something big is coming. Joranne narrowed his eyes. Friend or threat? I don't know yet, she said. But his scent. She stopped mid-sentence. What? Joranne asked. Her voice shook slightly. He smells like me. The next day they followed the rooftop trail. Scylla sniffed every step, her face focused. The scent wasn't fresh, but it was strong. Too strong to be a random stranger. They reached an old air duct near the edge of the trade sector. Inside it, they found something strange. A folded blanket, a metal dish and a small silver coin with a Valerie symbol carved into it. Scylla held the coin in her hand. Her fingers trembled. "This is from my homeworld." Joran blinked. "But you said you never knew your home. You were raised in labs." She looked up at him. "Then how do I know this symbol means brother?" The sun dipped low. Lights began to buzz across the station walls. They sat on the edge of the roof watching ships fly in the distance, so, Joran said slowly, "There's someone out there, like you, watching you, and maybe tied to the weapon theft." Scylla nodded. "Maybe he's warning me. Or testing you," Joran added. She looked at him. "Why?" "To see if you're strong enough to remember." Scylla didn't reply. The wind touched her face and her eyes closed again. Then, after a long pause, she whispered something soft. "I think I already do." The other knows. It was midnight when Scylla stopped moving. She and Joran had been walking through the lower, repair decks following the strange Valerie scent she picked up from the rooftop. The trail led them past old pipes, broken fans, and dusty vents. But now, she stood still. Her nose twitched. "He's here," she whispered. Joran reached for his gun. "Where?" "Near. Watching." Scylla closed her eyes. The air changed. Heavier, warmer. "He's close enough to hear us." Joran turned in a slow circle but saw nothing. "Come out," he shouted. Nothing. Then, a soft voice from the shadows. "Still chasing ghosts, little sister?" Joran spun around. A figure stepped out from behind a support beam. Tall, lean, skin the same soft gray blue as Scylla's. Glowing eyes, sharper than hers. His movements were fast but smooth, like a cat walking through a dream. Scylla's lips parted. "Vex," the figure smiled. "You remember?" Joran stepped between them. "You know him?" Scylla nodded. "He was there, at the labs. We were taken together, tested together. I escaped," Vex said. "You didn't. I don't remember you leaving." "They made sure of that," Vex said. "They didn't want you to remember anything, not even your own kind." Joran raised his gun. "Were you the one watching her? Were you inside her room?" "Yes," Vex said calmly. "Why?" "To see if she was ready." "Ready for what?" Vex looked past him, straight at Scylla. "To remember the truth." "You mean the weapon theft?" Joran asked. Vex nodded slowly. "It's not a theft. It's a plan." "What kind of plan?" "Revenge," Vex said. "But not mine. Someone else. Bigger. Older." He stepped closer. "The weapon isn't made of metal or lasers. It's something else. Something only we can understand." Scylla frowned. "Smell?" Vex smiled. "Yes. The stolen weapon is a gas. It kills by scent. Only the guilty can smell. And when they do, their bodies shut down." Joran stared. "That's not possible. With humans?" "No," Vex said. "But this was built using Valerie scent memory. Pain triggers collapse. Shame causes suffocation." He looked at Scylla again. "They used us to build it." Scylla stepped back. Her hands shook. That's why the room smelled familiar. Why I could feel fear trapped in the walls. "You were part of the design," Vex said. "You helped shape the scent formula. You just didn't know it." Joran's voice turned hard. "So who stole it?" Vex's smile faded. "The council." "You're lying," Joran snapped. "They're the ones chasing it." "Because they lost control," Vex said. "They made a weapon too dangerous and now they're trying to erase it, and anyone who remembers it." He turned to Scylla. "Including you." They returned to Scylla's rooftop room. Vex stayed quiet most of the way. Joran didn't trust him and made sure his weapon stayed loaded. But Scylla, her thoughts were spinning. "Why didn't you find me sooner?" she asked as they climbed the stairs. "I tried," Vex said. "But you were buried deep. They erased more of your memories than mine." "Why?" "Because you were better." Scylla stopped. "What do you mean?" Vex faced her. You could smell emotion, I could only smell lies. They said you were the future. I was just the test. Joran stepped in between them again. What's your part in this now? Why follow us? Because I tracked the gas before, the theft. I know who took it, Vex said, and I know where they're going. Where? Scylla asked. To the human capital. They're going to release it in the central tower, the heart of your government. How do you know? Joran demanded. Vex stared at him. Because I helped them. Silence. Cold. Sharp. Joran raised his weapon instantly. You're under arrest. Vex didn't move. You won't make it in time, without me. Scylla stepped between them. Wait, are you serious? Joran asked. He's not lying, Scylla said. Joran lowered the gun slightly. How can you be sure? Because his scent hasn't changed. He told the truth. And he regrets it. Vex looked away. I thought the plan was to punish the guilty. Now they want to punish everyone. That night, the three of them sat around a low light. Joran checked maps. Vex cleaned his knives. Scylla watched the stars. What if we stop the gas? Joran asked. Then what? Scylla added. Do we go back to hiding? Vex answered first. No. If we stop it, we expose everything. The labs, the council's lies, our stolen memories. And what about you? Joran asked. After this? Vex stared into the dark. I don't know. Then he looked at Scylla. But maybe this time I won't run alone. Betrayal in the wind. The mountain sector was quiet. Too quiet. Thick fog rolled between the gray towers. The air smelled old. Metal, ash, and something sour underneath. Scylla walked slowly, her scarf tight around her nose. Joran followed behind, one hand on his blaster. Vex led the way. They had tracked the stolen gas weapon to an old base hidden between the rocks. No patrols. No sensors. Just silence. This place was decommissioned 5 years ago, Vex said, but the council kept it for special projects. Like the one we're chasing now, Joran muttered. Scylla didn't speak. Her mind was somewhere, else something wasn't right. Inside the base, they found a single control room. Dark monitors, cracked glass, and empty power cells. But in the center of the room, a single case, metal, sealed, marked with a red triangle. Scylla sniffed. Her eyes narrowed. That's it. Joran approached the case carefully. He scanned it for traps. None. We found it, he whispered. But Scylla took a step back. No, she said softly. It's too easy. Vex didn't respond. He stood by the door, watching, waiting. Joran noticed it first. Vex, you're not even surprised. The room went cold. Vex turned slowly. His eyes had no guilt in them now, only calm. You brought us here on purpose, Scylla said. Vex nodded. Yes. You said they were going to release the gas. They are, he said. But not them, me. Joran pulled his weapon. I trusted you. You shouldn't have, Vex replied. I didn't come to stop anything. I came to finish it. Scylla stepped forward, voice shaking. Why? You said you wanted freedom, peace. Vex's voice dropped. Quiet. Dangerous. You still believe in peace after what they did to us? They locked us in glass rooms, tested us like animals, erased our minds, he pointed at Scylla. They took your memories and gave you back a name that wasn't yours. He pointed at Joran. They used people like him to clean the mess and pretend none of it ever happened. So your answer is murder? Joran snapped. Not murder, Vex said. Justice. Vex moved fast. In one breath, he pressed a hidden switch. Metal doors slammed shut. Alarms stayed silent. But the room started filling with a faint mist. Scylla's nose twitched instantly. Her voice cracked. It's active. Joran shouted, Open the doors. Too late, Vex said. This chamber was designed for testing. Airtight. No escape. In 10 minutes, everyone with guilt in their past will be paralyzed. He turned to Scylla. You'll survive. You're pure. But Scylla's eyes filled with tears. You don't understand, she said. I remember everything now. Vex froze. Scylla whispered. I was part of the project. They made me track people who never came back. Vex's face changed. He stepped back. No, they forced you. It wasn't your fault. But I knew, Scylla said. I knew the smell of fear, and I still followed the orders, even as a child. The mist grew thicker. Joran coughed. His knees hit the floor. We need to stop this. Scylla moved fast. She dove toward the console and tore off the metal cover. Wires sparked. Her hands moved like memory, like she had done this before. She had, long ago, as a test, as a weapon. Now, as herself. Vex shouted, Don't do this. Scylla didn't stop. I won't be your weapon again. She pulled the main fuse. The lights died. The mist stopped. A heavy silence fell, only breathing. Rough. Weak. But alive. Joran slumped against the wall. You did it, he whispered. Scylla, turned on Vex, stood frozen. No rage now, only pain, only loss. I thought we could fix it, he said. Burn it all down, start over. Scylla walked up to him. You don't fix pain with more pain. Then what do we do? She looked at the sky through the broken glass. We remember, and we tell the truth. She didn't kill him. She didn't need to. Vex dropped to his knees. The weapon case remained sealed. Joran called for backup. For the first time, he felt like a detective, and not just a tool. The scent of justice. The mountain base was silent. The mist had stopped, but the air still felt heavy. Joran sat on the floor, breathing hard, wiping sweat from his face. Scylla stood beside the sealed weapon case, her hands shaking. Vex knelt in the corner, head down, wrists locked in magnetic cuffs. He didn't speak. He didn't fight. The fire in his eyes had gone cold. Joran looked up at Scylla. You okay? She nodded once, but her voice was quiet. My nose still feels full, like the scent of pain is stuck inside me. Joran forced a weak smile. That's because this place was never clean. Outside, rescue teams were delayed by a sandstorm. They had hours before backup arrived. Scylla stood on the balcony, staring at the broken hills. I used to believe smell was just a tool, she said. A gift. Something to help people. Joran stepped beside her. You still can. She turned her head. But now I know. It's also a weapon. It shows things people want to hide. And sometimes, that breaks them. As they waited, a new alert blinked on the base console. Unauthorized movement, Tunnel Sector 7. Joran checked the screen. Someone had entered through the old tunnels. A second party. Not from the council, not rescue. They're after the weapon, Joran said. Scylla sniffed the air near the vent. 3 of them, fast, trained, covered in scent blockers, but not perfect. Mercenaries? No, she said. Trackers. Like you? No, she said darkly. Like him. She looked at Vex. Vex sat still, but lifted his eyes. They're coming to kill me, he said. To erase the last witness. And take the gas, Joran added. Scylla unlocked his cuffs. Joran blinked. Are you serious? He knows their scent, she said. He can find them faster than any scanner. Vex stood slowly. I won't run. Good, Scylla replied. You'll lead. They moved fast through the tunnels. Narrow, dark, full of echoes and wet stone. Scylla followed the faint traces of oil and chemical blockers. Vex stayed close, sniffing the corners, guiding them through old shafts and metal paths. Finally, they saw light. 3 mercenaries in black gear stood near a data vault. One of them opened a storage pod. Another reached for a vial, the gas sample. Scylla's nose twitched hard. That's not a sample, she whispered. That's a release pod. It's set to break if shaken. Joran aimed his weapon. We have to stop them now. Vex stepped forward. Let me. He walked into the open. The mercs turned fast, weapons drawn. You? One hissed. You're supposed to be dead. Not yet, Vex said, but you might be. We don't want you. We just want the gas. Vex smiled. Then come and take it. The lead merc ran forward. But Scylla was faster. She moved like wind, sliding low and sweeping the merc's feet. Joran shot a blaster bolt into the second's arm. The third tried to grab the pod, and that's when Vex jumped. Not to kill, but to protect. He snatched the vial mid-air and rolled, wrapping it in cloth and sealing it back inside the case. In under a minute, it was over. The mercs were down. The gas was safe. Joran sealed the vault and locked the case, then he turned to Vex. Why help now? Vex didn't answer at first, then said quietly, because, for the first time, I remembered what we were before they used us. Scylla sat outside the tunnel entrance, eyes closed. Joran sat beside her. You saved more than just this city, he said. You stopped a war no one knew was coming. She opened her eyes slowly. But I didn't stop everything. He tilted his head. What do you mean? She pointed to her nose. There's still something out there. Something bigger than this gas. Joran tensed. You think they made more? Scylla nodded. Not weapons. Memories. They erased thousands like me. And now? They're waking up. Vex approached them. I want to help, he said. Truly this time. Scylla stood. Then you'll answer for what you did. But also what you know. Joran placed cuffs back on his wrists. You'll get a trial, not revenge. Vex nodded. Maybe that's what we need most. As the rescue ship landed, Scylla watched the wind blow dust across the rocks. She smelled the air. For once, no fear. Only dust. And the smallest hint of peace. Truth in the air. The council tower was full of noise. Ships arrived. Reporters shouted. Officers marched down glass halls. The stolen weapon was recovered. The mercenaries were arrested. And the name Sela Valari was whispered across every channel in the system. Some called her a hero. Others called her a threat. But none of them really knew who she was. Only she knew. And she still wasn't sure. Joran stood in the council chamber. His coat was clean for once, hair combed back, face tired but proud. She stopped a massacre, he told the High Council. She saved your lives even after what was done to her. One counselor leaned forward. And what is she now? A soldier? A witness? A weapon? Joran shook his head. She's a person, and she wants to be left alone. Scylla waited outside. Vex stood beside her in cuffs, head down. He had confessed to everything. No more lies, no tricks. He accepted his punishment. Do you hate me? He asked, softly. Scylla didn't answer for a while, then she said, No, but I won't follow you either. He nodded. Good. You should follow yourself now. When the guards came, Scylla didn't say goodbye. And Vex didn't look back. 3 days later, Scylla was offered a medal. She refused it. They offered her a council job, official tracker, paid and protected. She refused that too. Joran walked her to the edge of the city. You sure you don't want to stay? He asked. The air here is too clean, she said. He smiled. And what will you do now? Walk, she replied. Walk where? She looked at the stars, where the smells are real. Joran handed her a small device. In case you need me. Scylla took it and slipped it into her pouch, then turned to him. You smell better now. He laughed. Soap? No, she said. Honesty. They stood in silence for a moment. Then she whispered, Thank you for listening. Thank you for leading. Scylla walked into the crowd. No one stopped her. No cameras followed. She vanished into the flow of people, another face, another story. But behind her, the wind carried her scent. Soft, clean, strange. Those who passed her sometimes paused. Some smiled. Some cried. They didn't know why, but something in the air told them. Truth had passed by. Months passed. On distant moons and broken cities, machines woke. Some old, some young, some like her. The scent of the stolen gas was never used, but its story spread. People began to ask questions. Where did the Valeri go? What did they lose? What else had the council hidden? Duran sat in his office, a new case file on his desk. Strange deaths? No. Wounds? No signs. Just one clue. Every victim had been hiding something. He looked out the window, then down at his comm. He smiled. Scylla, he whispered. You'll smell trouble before I see it, won't you, kid? He pressed a button. Somewhere, far away, a tiny device blinked and a nose turned toward the wind.